Welcome to our session on character education. Today, we'll be exploring Chapter 8, Character Education. I'm excited to discuss how we can integrate character education into our classrooms. Consider this. What if students are academically trained, but are selfish, dishonest, and irresponsible? In this session, we'll discuss the importance of basic character strengths, how to teach these strengths through the existing curriculum, and how applying these traits can produce effective leaders. Theodore Roosevelt emphasized the importance of educating individuals in both mind and morals, highlighting the potential danger of neglecting character development. It's not enough to focus solely on academics. Character education is equally vital. Basic character strengths include sound judgment, responsibility, personal courage, and self-mastery. These traits are essential for personal development and can be integrated into the existing curriculum through various methods. Character strengths can be taught through storytelling, group discussions, and daily practices like the gratitude moment. By incorporating these methods, we can help students develop positive character traits. By applying these character traits, individuals can develop into effective leaders capable of making ethical decisions and inspiring others. Character education is crucial for nurturing future leaders. From the writings of C.S. Lewis and others, it's evident that various cultures throughout history have shared common moral principles and values, often referred to as the Tao. These principles include human kindness, loyalty to family, honesty, and compassion. Understanding and embodying these moral truths are essential for personal and societal well-being. Character education helps students internalize these values. Sound judgment involves reasoning objectively and wisely, incorporating thorough research to make reliable conclusions and solutions. Responsibility entails accepting accountability for obligations and assignments, fostering dependability and trustworthiness. Personal courage requires facing difficulty, conflict, danger, or risk with valor, boldness, and strength, often grounded in a spiritual understanding. Self-mastery empowers individuals to overcome physical or mental weaknesses, enabling the full utilization of intelligence and ability. Character education is not taught in isolation, but is interwoven throughout classroom instruction. Teachers play a significant role as examples and facilitators in nurturing virtuous behavior. For example, reading uplifting stories not only improves literacy, but also fosters moral decision-making through group discussions. By aligning daily practices with beneficial mottos and ground rules, students can be guided toward developing positive character traits. Lyman Cabot, in Ethics for Children, a guide for teachers and parents, emphasizes the importance of recognizing and nurturing the inherent goodness in each child. The use of storytelling, questions, and real-life examples helps children develop moral reasoning and motivation. Teachers act as sowers of moral seeds, guiding children toward understanding and embodying virtues. Here's an example of character education. When a task is once begun, do not stop until it's done. Kenneth Clark shared a story from his childhood in the early 1950s in Idaho, USA, where he learned the value of perseverance and responsibility through hard work on a potato farm.
When I was a young man growing up in Idaho, USA, in the early 1950s, potatoes were harvested by hand. They grow in rows, and in those days a mechanical digger pulled by a tractor was used to dig them up and deposit them on the surface of the ground. Two pickers would each start on the end of a rowel and would pick the potatoes up and put them in a basket. When baskets of both partners were full, they would dump both of them into a large potato sack that had been left along the row. Then the process would repeat. A flatbed truck would drive down between the rows of sacks. Two men, one on each side of the truck, would hoist the 100 pounds, 45 kilograms, sack onto the truck, where two men would stack them. Once loaded, the truck would be driven to a storage facility. This went on day after day through the harvest season, which lasted about 2 weeks. The pickers would report how many sacks they had picked at the end of the day, and field boss would record the amount and verify the total with the amount sacks picked up that day. When the picking was done at a given farm, the pickers were paid 7 cents, 70 shilling, per sack to be split between the two pickers. It was a lot of back-breaking work for so little money, but we were glad to get it. One year when I was 8 or 9 years old, my partner and I accepted a second job at another farm. Up until that time, I had only worked at my uncle's farm, as had my partner. It was late in the autumn season when we started at this new place. The third day it started to snow, and it got cold. Picking up those cold potatoes on that cold ground made our fingers sting and burn. As we got colder, we grumbled more and more. The more I complained, the more my partner egged me on, and vice versa. Finally, we both went to the field boss and told her that we could no longer work. It was too cold. She said she was so busy that she would not be able to drive us back to town. Off we went, two little boys hitchhiking down the highway on that cold day heading for home. All the while I was rehearsing what I was going to tell my dad, and how angry I knew he was going to be about the way they had treated us. We did get home safely, and oh, it felt so good to take a hot bath and sit by the heater. I was excited for my dad to get home from work. I was still so angry. Finally, I heard him coming in the door. I ran to him as fast as I could, breathlessly telling him the whole story. I was shocked when he just stood there looking down at me, and I will never forget the look of disapproval and disappointment on his face. He said, "Son, those people are in trouble. The snow and cold could wipe out all their profit if they cannot get those potatoes in the storage facility before nightfall. I cannot believe that a son of mine would just leave them like that." Those people suddenly got names and faces. They were no longer they. To this day, whenever I hear people refer to others as they in a condescending way, I want to tell them, hold on, and before you jump to any conclusions, maybe you ought to check if they need to get their potatoes in before it freezes. It's good to think about others at least as much as you think of yourself. Kenneth Clark, former Vice President of Operations, MC.
Let's discuss some questions related to Kenneth's story to reinforce the character traits we've been talking about. What happened in this story that reminded you of sound judgment, responsibility, personal courage, and self-mastery? Have you had an assignment that was difficult and wanted to quit? What did you do? How did this experience teach Kenneth to be a good employee and leader at his business? What kind of person do you want to be when you grow up? Who do you know that is a good example? What traits do they have that you admire? Here's a challenge for you. Research a family history story and discover a character trait that you admire. Share it with your students, using questions to reinforce the significance of character traits in personal and professional life. Remember this: character education is essential for society's well-being, ensuring that children develop virtues and moral values. Uplifting stories are powerful tools for teaching moral values. Character education should be woven into all components of the curriculum. Great teachers not only tell and explain, but also demonstrate and inspire.